I'm curious to know what you were like in school.
I think actually probably all through school, but particularly when I was younger, I was quite shy and self-conscious. Um, a bit of a thinker, I think. Quite reflective. Not particularly confident. But I had lots of friends, and I was very sort of socially motivated. I was also, it was a very competitive type of educational system we had in Kenya. It probably still is. And so you're very aware of where you are in kind of the sort of cleverness stakes, and all that sort of, and we work quite, my parents were quite into me working and studying and all that sort of thing. So there was, it wasn't pressured though, in the sense of the lifestyle or the it was just a very comfortable lifestyle, but the education was pressured. Yeah.
And were you almost compared to other students?
Yeah, big time. I think my parents did that quite a lot. They wanted to know where we were in comparison to the sort of, the top 10 in the class, etc.
And where were you?
I'd say, well, the best I did was fourth.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was better at some subjects than others, but I was never at the top. There were some very smart kids around.
Yeah. How did you feel when you were fourth?
Great. I felt amazing. I felt very proud of myself. I thought I'd done really well. Yeah.
And how old were you when you achieved that?
Hard to say. Probably, 10 to 12 years old or something, I think. Maybe a bit older. Maybe even, 14 or something. I don't know. Yeah. And
at that young age, did you have any idea, like, what your future looks like? Did you have any aspirations in terms of career?
It's interesting that I had my granny, my mum's mum, was incredibly she was an uneducated woman, but she was very sort of ambitious for us, and she always said, "You're going to be a great judge." She would say this in Punjabi, "You're going to be a great judge." And
why did she say that?
I don't know. I think she had this idea that I should be a lawyer, and it would be nice, and that kind of maybe stuck a bit. And then when I actually really thought about what I wanted to do, I can't remember how early it was. It was definitely early. It was like before I was 15 or 16. I was heading towards law. It was kind of, I like the idea of justice. I like the idea of a woman being a lawyer. So it was kind of mapped out and mentally kind of in my sort of where I was going quite early. Yeah.
How did you feel about the prospect of being a woman in law?
I just thought it was a really nice fit, actually. I thought I liked the idea of the independence, the working for justice, I didn't see any barriers to entry for that reason.
That's interesting that you say that, because I feel like nowadays all we talk about is like, obviously diversifying things, but how, like, now it's like, yes, if you are a woman or if you're, from a different background, like, yes, let's celebrate that. But like back then it was very much.
Yeah, I mean, my dad had, one of my parents' closest friends was a very successful lawyer in Mombasa, and she was like an aunt, we called her an aunt, and she was really smart, very sharp, still really switched on lady. She's about, she's probably around in her 80s now. Told a lovely, knew how to tell a lovely story, knew how to set up a complete kind of anecdote, really amazing memory. And great writer, great orator. So she was quite, actually, I mean, thinking about it, I hadn't thought about this, but she might have been quite an influence. And the fact that she was so good at it and quite at ease with it all maybe was something that kind of made me feel it's quite normal. Yeah.
Gave you a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like the way you describe her, it's almost as if that profession was like part of her personal identity as well.
Yeah, very
like,
much so.
That ability to tell a good story.
Yes.
And to be engaging with people.
Yes.
Do you think you had, even though you were shy as a young child, do you think you had some of those traits?
No. I don't think so. I was so shy. I was painfully like, self-aware and, I kind of inhibited myself because of that, I think. So but I used to hang out a lot with my dad, mum, and their friends.
Yeah.
And so, you converse, or you're forced to converse. And so that was good. That drew me out. And the company was always lovely. They were always like, just animated, interesting, good conversation.